Why did Ulf kill Ormund Hightower? House of the Dragon Explained. Spoiler warning. This video contains major spoilers for House of the Dragon Season 3, including the Battle of Tumbleton, Ulf the White, and the death of Ormund Hightower. If you haven't watched the Season 3 finale, turn back now. So why did Ulf the White kill Ormund Hightower? The answer is connected to one of the biggest betrayals of the Dance of the Dragons. And what makes the moment so shocking is that Ulf doesn't simply kill Ormund. He completely changes sides in the middle of the battle. To understand why, we first need to understand who Ulf is. Ulf the White is one of the dragon seeds recruited by Rhaenyra. He is a low-born man with Targaryen blood, and because of that blood, he is able to claim Silverwing, one of the most powerful dragons in Westeros. Suddenly, Ulf goes from being an ordinary man to someone who controls a dragon. That gives him enormous power. But it also creates a serious problem. Ulf isn't a loyal soldier. He is ambitious, arrogant, and increasingly intoxicated by the power he has gained. He enjoys the privileges that come with being a dragon rider, but he doesn't necessarily share Rhaenyra's reasons for fighting. And this becomes extremely important at Tumbleton. Ormund Hightower has captured Tumbleton for the Greens and is preparing for the coming battle. He knows that Rhaenyra's forces will eventually attack. The town becomes one of the most important strategic locations in the war. The Blacks eventually launch their attack. Daemon's forces move against the Green Army, and the Battle of Tumbleton begins. This is where everything falls apart. Ulf initially appears to be fighting alongside the Greens, but as the battle becomes chaotic, he makes a decision that completely changes the outcome. He turns Silverwing against the Green forces, and then he attacks. The important thing is that Ulf isn't necessarily killing Ormund because of some personal hatred. Ormund hasn't suddenly become Ulf's greatest enemy. The real reason is much simpler. Ulf realizes that he has enormous power and no reason to remain loyal to anyone. He is a dragon rider, and in the world of Westeros, that makes him incredibly valuable. Ulf can choose the winning side. Or, more accurately, he can choose whichever side gives him the greatest advantage, and that's exactly what he does. Draring the chaos at Tumbleton, Ulf turns his dragon against the Green forces. Ormund Hightower is caught in the middle of the destruction. Ulf's dragonfire kills him. And this is one of the biggest moments of the battle because Ormund was the commander holding the Green Army together. Once Ormund is dead, the Greens lose their main leader. The situation immediately becomes much more chaotic. But there is an important detail here. Ulf isn't simply fighting the Greens. He is effectively fighting everyone. The finale portrays him as drunk, embittered, and completely unpredictable. His actions turn the battlefield into absolute chaos. And that is what makes Ulf so dangerous. He doesn't have the discipline of a trained commander. He doesn't have the loyalty of a noble house. He has a dragon, and he believes that is enough. This is also why Ulf is eventually remembered as one of the two betrayers. The other is Hugh Hammer. Both men were recruited by Rhaenyra because she needed more dragon riders. But the decision comes back to haunt her. Rhaenyra needed dragons so badly that she was willing to give enormous power to men whose loyalty was uncertain. And Tumbleton proves how dangerous that decision was. Ulf and Hugh were supposed to strengthen the Black cause. Instead, they become a threat to both sides. Now let's look at Ormund Hightower. Ormond is not simply another Green soldier. He is the leader of the Hightower army at Tumbleton. He is also responsible for keeping the Green forces organized. Throughout Season 3, Ormond has shown himself to be ruthless and extremely determined. He captures Tumbleton and uses its strategic position to threaten Rhaenyra's control of King's Landing. He also has a complicated relationship with Daeron Targaryen. Ormond sees Daeron as someone who needs to be controlled and protected. But he is also willing to make brutal decisions to achieve victory. That makes his death especially significant. He doesn't die in a duel with Daemon. He isn't killed by Rhaenyra. And he doesn't lose to a traditional enemy. He is killed by someone who was supposed to be on the other side of the conflict, Ulf. And that is the real meaning of the scene. The Dance of the Dragons has reached a point where alliances no longer mean anything. People are willing to betray anyone if they believe it will give them more power. Ormond's death also creates a leadership vacuum. Without him, the Green Army becomes increasingly difficult to control. The soldiers are no longer following a strong central commander, and Tumbleton descends into chaos. The aftermath is horrific. The town is devastated. Civilians are caught in the destruction, and the Green forces eventually sack Tumbleton. Ulf has helped create a disaster that neither side can fully control. But Ulf doesn't seem to understand the consequences. He believes that being a dragon rider makes him untouchable, and for a while he is right. That is one of the most dangerous things about Ulf. Power has completely changed him. He started as a common man. Then he claimed Silverwing, and suddenly he believed he deserved the same respect as kings and princes. This is exactly why his betrayal is so important to the larger story. The Targaryens believed their blood gave them the right to control dragons. But the dragon seeds proved that the power of dragons can also fall into the hands of people outside the traditional royal family. And once that happens, the entire political system becomes unstable. Ulf is the perfect example. He doesn't need a crown to become powerful. He needs Silverwing, and that's enough. But here's the irony. Ulf thinks his dragon makes him invincible. In reality, his betrayal creates enemies everywhere. The Blacks don't trust him anymore. The Greens don't truly trust him either. And eventually, other nobles begin looking for a way to eliminate the two betrayers. Ulf's decision at Tumbleton therefore gives him power in the short term, but it also puts a target on his back. And that is one of the biggest lessons of the Dance of the Dragons. Power without loyalty is extremely dangerous. Ulf kills Ormond because the battlefield gives him an opportunity to choose his own side. But once he makes that choice, he becomes something much more dangerous than a soldier. He becomes a wild card, and nobody can completely control him. So, why did Ulf kill Ormund Hightower? Because Ulf had already betrayed the Blacks, and at Tumbleton he turned on the Greens as well. He was driven by ambition, resentment, intoxication, and the belief that his dragon gave him the freedom to do whatever he wanted. Ormond simply became one of the most important victims of that betrayal. His death destroys Green leadership at Tumbleton and helps turn the battle into one of the bloodiest moments of the dance. And the most ironic part? Rhaenyra gave Ulf his power. She needed him because she needed dragons. But the very dragon riders she recruited eventually became one of the greatest threats created by her own strategy. That's why Ulf's betrayal matters. It isn't just about one man killing another. It's about what happens when dragons become more powerful than loyalty. And once men like Ulf realize that they can control dragons, kings and queens suddenly have a much bigger problem. What do you think? Did Ulf betray the Greens because he genuinely wanted power, or was he simply trying to survive? And do you think Rhaenyra made a mistake by trusting the dragon seeds? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this House of the Dragon breakdown, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more spoilers, character explanations, theories, and ending breakdowns. The Dance of the Dragons is only getting more brutal, and Ulf the White has just shown exactly how dangerous a dragon rider without loyalty can become.